when they formed us up to drive on to Falaise, they had the armor unit up front, including the British Churchill tanks. They brought those in, and they lined us up all 10 abreast, the tanks, and the Churchill tanks had flamethrowers with them. They pulled a tank behind it, an armored tank behind holding the fluid, and the line ran through the tank, and they shot the fluid out the front end they would hit anywhere from 150 to 200 yards with fluid. It would burn and just burnt everything in front of them. And behind that were the Sherman tanks. And then after that, the Bren gun carriers, which were a British Canadian unit, the full-track armored vehicle, open on top. But and then behind that came the soft-skins, and we all rode. We were riding. In fact, I was in scout platoon. We weren't necessary to be out front. We were in the back, riding in a soft-skin vehicle, as the rest of the division was. The rest of the Argylls were anyway, and. So we rode in these vehicles and went right across country, about 20, 25 miles, and just, I don't know, it was just hilarious to see this thing all lined up moving. And it was like a Wild West show already. The fellows were shooting their guns off and yelling and screaming and having a ball. In the meantime, out front, they were burning up the Germans as they went with these tanks and just swept right across country. It was really a sight to behold that I would probably never see again and never would. But it was really worthwhile to see. The regular German soldier was just like anybody else, and they were just guys. I mean, they were easy to get along with, and some of them were happy to get captured, but not the SS. The German soldiers themselves, they were frightened of the SS themselves, okay? Because sometimes if they were told not to retreat, they had the SS behind them to make sure they didn't retreat, and they shoot their own men. And this P-38 that I took off this officer, we were on a sweep, and I was about to walk up. We were stationed over maybe 50 or 75 yards apart, and I came across this walkway up, driveway up into the barn, and I was going to go up into there, see if there's anybody up there. And all of a sudden, a person yelled from a ditch, he said, "Don't go up there, you better come down here with me." Spoke in very broken English. And I jumped in the ditch with him. And he was a veterinarian, and he was educated in England. And thus the broken English. But I took his gun from him. And he said, "There are 3 SS in that barn, and they'll kill me just as quick as they'll kill you." So I fired a couple of shots off to get the other guys to come around, and we got the 3 SS out of there. One of the guys got up and threw a grenade and got them out. Didn't hit anybody, but they got them out. In another case, the next day we were out doing another sweep, and we ran across a whole platoon of SS. And we had a little battle fight with them, killed 2 of them before they gave up. And but they were miserable. They were just really, really, really bad. I mean, they were bad to deal with, not friendly, not anything, just really bad. At the Falaise Gap, when the Germans were trying to break through, that was the worst scene I've ever seen or ever want to see ever. The Germans kept trying to push out, and they kept just mowing them down. And the Germans used a lot of horses. And the horses were piled up, and the bodies were piled up, and they just kept trying to break out. That was a really horrendous experience. We were just scattered along an area. In fact, where we were, the Germans from the battle before were still laying there, so we were just kind of, it was at night, and we were around a farmyard, actually. And in fact, later on, when the Germans we had stopped them, and we were going back, and it was so dark that you couldn't see your hand in front of you almost. And I never will forget, another fellow and I were heading back towards the barn, and we ran smack dab into a cow and scared the devil out of us because we didn't know there was a cow there, and you couldn't see it. That's how dark it was. That was unusual because always, usually at night, you'd see something, but that was a very dark night. But we got the word that to pull back, since they knew at some point in time they knew the Germans had quit. So the scout platoon got pretty well depleted by the time we got to Germany. From originally altogether maybe 30 guys, it wound up being about 10 by the time we got to Germany. The depletion got pretty heavy. I've often said that I'd never do that again, never volunteer again. But I wouldn't trade my experience for anything I've ever had, anything I've ever done. I think those 5 years I spent in the Army taught me more than I could have ever learned in any kind of schooling operation.